Defense Department Secretary Robert Gates tried to push ahead this week by announcing major cuts to the Pentagon's budget. A lot of people agree that there should be cuts at some point in the Pentagon's budget. But what do you make of the cuts that Bob Gates proposed and the effect they are likely to have in Virginia?
In principle, and part of our platform is that all the departments and the agencies in the federal government should look at finding 2% cuts per year for the next 3 years. But what I'm concerned about is this seems a little abrupt. It seems very abrupt, and I'm concerned about shutting down the Joint Forces Command. The Joint Forces Command, we stood that up in order to facilitate interoperability between the forces and find ways for them to fight together. And over the long term, that's very important. It saves us money in the long term, it saves lives, and it makes us a more lethal force. So I'm just concerned about why they might find some savings. While they might find some savings in the short term, I would have preferred that they studied this and put some more time and effort into it before they just unilaterally made a decision to turn off the Joint Forces Command. And can I just one other piece about that? The cutting about, I think, approximately 10% of the contractors, which is anywhere from, we're talking 70 to 80,000 contractor jobs are going to go away, and that's particularly concerning up in my district in Northern Virginia, where we have a lot of defense contractors who do a lot of work with the commands in support of our national interests. So I would just, when in the middle of a recession, when we have almost 10% unemployment, and when we're fighting two wars, without making any kind of announcement or plan or study to say we're going to shut down the Joint Forces Command, to me is a concern.
How do you deal with, on the one hand, I really like the argument that you made about the strategic about the Joint Command, and it's important. But as a Republican who does not favor the expansion of government or government being the primary provider of employment, how are you comfortable making the argument that they shouldn't cut the budget because it will result in the loss of jobs, when in fact you don't think that government should be in the business of being the primary provider of jobs?
Well, I think that's a little bit, when my approach to this is the most fundamental responsibility that the federal government has is to provide for the common defense. It's not necessarily to create jobs throughout the sector. In fact, it's not to create jobs throughout our private sector. That's what our private sector does. But when it comes to providing for the common defense, when we're in the middle of pursuing two wars in Afghanistan and in Iraq, and I just said that the fact that we have such an unemployment problem, it just exacerbates that. But I want, as far as the federal government pursuing the providing for the common defense, then that's what they should be doing.